Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Donovan's Daily Dose. I'm your favorite APUSH history teacher, Mr. Donovan, and today we're going to talk about the Enlightenment in Colonial America. Now, to set the scene, the Enlightenment really takes place a lot during the 17th and 18th centuries in Europe, so 16 and 1700s, and this is really an era of questioning. Questioning the pre-established norms in the church and the authority of the church, challenging the authority of the king. There's just more focus on rational thinking and scientific reasoning. And due to the 13 colonies being tied to the British Empire, this is going to make its way across the Atlantic and really influence the rights that colonists believe that they have. Now, let's take a look at some examples of how the Enlightenment makes its way into colonial America. So first, I'm going to bring up an excerpt from John Locke, right? A famous Enlightenment philosopher. And one of the ideas that Locke uses that we eventually will see is this idea of inalienable rights and what rights citizens should have. So if you take a look at this passage, he uses this phrase here that people who are equal and independent shouldn't harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. Now, that might ring a bell because if we take a look at this excerpt from Thomas Jefferson in the famous Declaration of Independence, he talks about all men being created equal, with the idea of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So you can see the clear connection here between Locke's ideas and Jefferson's. And the crazy thing is that Locke's ideas came way back in the 1680s, well before Jefferson even thought about writing the Declaration of Independence. So without that Locke ideas, the Declaration of Independence could have been fundamentally changed. Now, this is not the only example of the Enlightenment making its way into colonial America. We also see this with the ideas from the English Bill of Rights. Now, I'll pull that up here for you guys to see. Now, these are just some excerpts from it, but one of the things I want to point to your attention here is that a lot of these ideas in the English Bill of Rights from the 1680s, we still see in America today. Take a look at number 5, when it talks about the right of the citizens to petition the king. Well, we see something very similar, right? The First Amendment allows for the right to protest or the right to petition. If you take a look at number 7, it talks about the ability to bear arms. And in this case, we see this with America's Bill of Rights with the Second Amendment. If you look at number 9, it talks about the freedom of speech, right? That hints at some more First Amendment guarantees that we see with the freedom of speech. And then last but not least, number 10, it talks about the excessive bail nor excessive fines imposed. That is our Eighth Amendment. There's protection against excessive bail. So we can see just a few examples here of how the English Bill of Rights plays a huge role in shaping the rights and beliefs that Americans think they have still to this day. Now, this is not the only way it impacts colonial America. One of the big Enlightenment thinkers of the time is Thomas Paine, and he writes this famous pamphlet called Common Sense. And even though he's originally from England, he makes his way to the colonies, and he writes this book, or this pamphlet, I should say, with the argument that the 13 British colonies in North America should be free from British rule. And one of the phrases he used that I'll bring up here, it says, "A government of our own is our natural right." So we see this again in the Declaration of Independence talking about inalienable rights. Inalienable means God-given. It doesn't have to be from a source of authority. It is natural because you are human. So a couple big things to understand the historical significance of the Enlightenment. First, the Enlightenment is going to be one of the major causes of the American Revolution. The belief in inalienable rights, that the government has the responsibility to respond to the needs of the citizens, that there are certain rights that should be protected, like freedom of speech and right to petition and protest, are all seen within the American Revolution, but also America still today. Along with this, the phrase of no taxation without representation can also be traced back to the Enlightenment. This idea that citizens should be able to elect the officials who make laws and taxes for us is going to be a huge part of political thought in America still to this day. So there you go, folks. Information about how the Enlightenment ties into colonial America and our current political structure. Have an awesome rest of your day.